Saludo, mi gente. Welcome to Dismantling the Ckery, the podcast where we deconstruct the illusion and unleash the fabulosity. I'm your host, Kohenet Angelique, your fierce neurodivergent Jew-Eureka poet and an advocate for decolonial liberation. So get ready to dive into the messy, uncomfortable, and transformative work of dismantling the systems of oppression and the limiting beliefs that hold us back. We're here to reclaim our power, embrace our magic, and rise into fabulosity. So grab your cafe, your té, I don't know, maybe you need a shot, and let's get into some fuckery. Saludo, mi gente. It is Kohenet Angelique here, and I am so excited to be doing an episode. I know I've kind of dropped off, but here we are, and I wanted to talk about community. This weekend, I had the enormous honor of going to Jews of Color Shabbaton, and one of the things, it was in a priestess capacity to help lead services, and which, of course, that's an absolute yes. I'm always down for service, and I'm always down for teaching. You know, those are things for me that are just like, they're there. Call me and it's a yes. And so I went down Friday and I got back yesterday, and I can't tell you how beautiful it was to be surrounded by Jews of color. And when you are surrounded by your people, and what I mean by people is like, it's all types of people, because you can find them in different types of crowds and different, places. But nonetheless, you know your people because you fall into each other so easily. And there's such a beauty in that, such a beauty in this feeling that we get in our bodies when we meet someone. We feel like there is the possibility of building trust. There's the possibility of building a friendship, relationships, a familyship, right? That goes beyond our family of origin. And one of the things that struck me about being there, or maybe not one of the things among many, was I found myself at a place where this previous wound around community or around connection that made every single interaction delightfully painful, because there was an ache in you simultaneously in the moment that you are also receiving the information of, this is somebody that can be a friend, right? It's like there's such a distinct sensation to our humanity when it feels like it's missing something and sees something that can possibly fit, right? And then there's the holy shit, I can lose this very thing. I have so little of this very thing in my life, right? And so I got to this sensation where I felt so blessed for being there and having such a sweet opportunity to being in community, and also that I didn't need to hold on to that moment in the ways that I've previously needed to, where I've previously felt so incredibly alone, so incredibly isolated, right? So that when you see your people and you're being with your people, you're trying to be as present as possible while aware that you're going to go back home and you don't have that same connection with people where you live at, or you haven't been able to gather that for yourself in a way that's consistent, right? And so I feel like being able to be so regulated with it, right? So feeling like, oh, I'm so grateful for this moment. I can savor this moment, and I don't have to try to, suck it all in my imagination, so that I can hold it through until the next time I'm around my people. But I can let go of that and be there now, enjoy that moment, knowing that when I leave that moment, more moments will come of beautiful fellowship, of beautiful connections. And I think often enough in community, because we're often, and I'm speaking, specifically about spiritual community, and this in terms is like spiritual and identity, but any type of community, any type of like connection that you may have, right? Recognizing that everybody that we would generally say the collective community, not everybody's my people in the collective community. And some of us don't like talking about that. Others of us don't give a shit and are like, listen, I just got my people, right? I think it's healthy to be at a centered place with that. This recognition that the moment is so sacred, it's like drink it in. And also you can drink it in small sips, because you're going to have it again. Because you can trust that this thing will be showing up for you again and again and again. Because fundamentally, you have to ask yourself, what is happening with you and for you that you feel that big of an isolation, or that long stretch of loneliness, right? Because that's what it feels like. It's like you can, have this connection with people outside of your context and feel like you come so alive, but it's not here in your context. It's not in your life. Why is that, right? The questions that we need to start asking is, how are we moving and how are we cultivating and fostering connection? And can we do that from a place that is not wanting, not in longing, but an actual like satisfied contentment that says, this is good for now, more will come. I have no need of scarcity of thought, right? Because I realize and I see in my everyday the way connection shows up for me. And I think it is fabulous. It is gorgeous. It is amazing. I feel like that's when we can really say to ourselves, like, even if you're like not as necessarily a person who leans into spiritual energetics or things like that, right? You can still have this idea that the world is a 50-50. It's a 50-50 chance of anything is possible, right? One way or the other. It's a 50-50 that everything is a pattern, and the other side of that, nothing moves and it doesn't repeat itself. I mean, there's so much in this world that lives on that lives in this 50-50, even if you don't have a spiritual belief. But for me, my thing is that I wanted to go back home to my internal rootedness around what I believed about life. Because of pain, because of questions that I had, wanting to understand how to do it differently, how to do it better, all of the things that you can imagine. Having observed that, I lived a lot of my time in my space, like trying to answer the questions, trying to understand them, because somehow those fucking questions are a key part of why I'm here, right? I'm here to better understand how to function being a neurodivergent single woman in her late 40s, 50s around the corner, blah, 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 right? Like her parents have moved on. May their memory be a blessing. Family life is strange. And what's left that's solid is, what I have, my children and the life that we're creating. Like this thing, right? This thing of beingness. The capacity to understand that we are inexplicably connected to something that's fucking greater greater than ourselves. For me, that is the Torah. For me, that is the Hashem. For me, it is all the faces of the divine and all the expressions, evolutions, and ways. That shit sings. That shit right there makes my soul sing. In the same way that the witchiness does, in the same way that communing with trees does, it makes my soul sing. And I have been given a song. You have been given a song. And every moment of the day, there are things that will meet you that will cause your song to sing. I don't have to wait until I'm with someone else or somewhere else for me to see myself or see God. I can lean into with an easefulness that says that I know that all the hairs on my head are counted. That everything in my body is accounted for. Like everything in my body was made with purpose. Everything that I know of this world holds a multiplicity. But in that multiplicity, this seeing connection in every possible way, which is that's my home frequency. I'm like, right now I'm sitting on the floor doing this podcast and I can feel the sensation of an earth that's beneath me. And I have neighbors beneath me and the earth beneath that, right? But that I feel like at a cellular level, I am alive. And because I am alive, I can see beauty in every single thing, in every single moment, and connection because I see the beauty. And in that connection, some connection lasts for 5 seconds. Another can last for, 15 or 50. Whatever it is, the quality of it is beautiful to me, right? It is like it's like a melody. And when I think about it in that way, when I realign myself with that understanding inside of my body, that when I see you, when I spend a couple of minutes talking with you, in that moment of connection, we are bonding. Everything inside of us is harmonizing to one another in that moment, in the beauty of that. To me, that the spark of the divine in you and the spark of the divine in me brings us to this place for 1 millisecond. And then like smoke, it is gone. Then everything is offering me that opportunity. So I don't have to think I'm never going to experience this again. Because I will. It may be different. It may look different, sound different, feel different. But I will be experiencing connection. Because I'm already tapped in. You're already tapped in. And so coming to this place where we're like, okay, because we also sing Hine Matov, right? We're like, how good it is. How goodly are your tents, O Yaakov, your dwelling place. Like, we're like, oh, and when we get together, it is so good. This is so good, right? It is so delicious. It's because the sparks are being gathered. The heat is amplified. But the sparks are being gathered. Each spark is an individual spark. Each spark is part of a whole. Simultaneously, you are a spark. I'm a spark. Every time I look at my plants and I'm like, I literally do this. I look at them and I'm like, my goddess, you are a sexy biatch. Because I think that they are gorgeous, but I also see a spark of the divine in this thing, that it is through light, that it holds shape and form and stays alive, connected to soil. What in the bananas? What is going on? What is happening? And the thing that's happening is when you can see Hashem, when you can see spirit, when you can see energy and beauty in every single moment, in every single moment. And these past years of my life, I've been awful awful at this because I've been in such pain, walking through so much grief, that I understand and understand and overstand the idea of grief, of pain being shut up in your bones, because it will contract you like nothing in this world. And I was missing moments. And when it felt like it was going to get far too dark, far too unbearable, the light went on. The light fucking went on. Right? It was like, it was a singular moment in which I looked up to the hills from where came my help. Right? It was that. For me. Maybe for you, it is something different. Maybe for you, it is an exchange you had with someone in the grocery store. Maybe it was for you when you went into the garden and you saw one of the most beautiful swallowtail butterflies you've ever seen. Maybe for you, that's what it was. But whatever it is a spark. It is something greater that brings you to that moment that you go, I know there's more. And I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that I am alive to live, to be fully expressed for a reason. The reason doesn't have to be famous. The reason has to be being you, right? The reason doesn't have to be the imagining of you in a perfect, oh my God. Because sometimes I think, some of the ways I talk to myself at times are so freaking hard. They are very, there's no sandwich. It's just straight up all the time, right? And that inner dialogue about how I need to do, but fill in the blank, do this, do that, whatever. And it's like, when you finally are able to be like, oh, hold on a minute. We're not doing that anymore. We're not talking to ourselves like that anymore. We're not looking at ourselves like that anymore, because we are going to choose to understand, overstand, and just completely believe. Even if it seems fucking bananas. Believe that you are deeply loved. Believe that you are meant to be here. Believe that things are going to work out. Believe that every day is one step. Believe that you may not know tomorrow, but surely tomorrow knows your name. And that if for some reason on this universe, on this planet, in this universe, in this galaxy, that is unequivocally true, is that you are a living being, and we really don't know how we got here. We really don't know how we become these things that we become and why this functions the way it does, but it does. And that is a good enough reason. That right there is a good enough reason. The sunrise and the sunset, listening to my children laugh. They are grown adults. Do you know how much it delights my soul to hear them laugh? And their laughs are so beautiful. It's like songs. It just, I feel it in my bones when I hear their laughter. How could that not be amazing, beautiful, gorgeous, sacred, holy, beyond our comprehension? How could it be that the voices of two humans making sounds moves me to my soul? Come on now. You know what I'm saying? So there's this part here. There's this piece that we get to look at and go, I love being in community. I love when when we're experiencing that goodly sensation because we're connected. But I know that we're connected to all things at all times in all ways. I don't need to be close to you in order for me to feel you. You feel me, right? Like, I don't need to do that because we are connected. And when I see you and when I get to hug you and hold you in my arms, I am holding a spark of the divine that is a distinct expression, but that this spark is part of my own too. That I know you in a way and I see your soul with such clarity. It moves me. That no matter what, no matter where we go, this we always have with us is that we are energetically in this grand matrix. I'm talking to you through a contraption. It's recording the frequencies, the sound waves of my voice, delivering it to you. That magic is what always grants me the opportunity to enjoy the beauty. So I hope, right, if you are someone who's, you've struggled with suicide, you've struggled with extraordinary emotional pain, you've struggled with lots of trauma, you've struggled with feeling different, weird, somehow, never enough, and never the same, right? Like you're always different and always different. I just need you to know why it's so important. I need you to know that you're not actually without. And this perspective is so important that I'm talking on a podcast about it, right? It is so important for you to understand that you are not actually alone. That you are part of a frequency and a tapestry, that there is more, and that we have to give more a chance. You've got to give more a chance. When you've had it bad, when it's been real ugly, the minute you're out of that, you get to choose how you are going to see it. And there was a time when you saw it in all its beauty. There was a time when you were able to be soft, be jelly-like, the ability to be fluid and just love freely. There was a time when there was innocence accompanied by the love you offered because it came purely. You know what it tastes like to be connected to the all, to be connected to the human collective that we are. You know what it feels like those summer nights where you could just lay out and there was just such a slight breeze, but something about that was so refreshing, but embracing, cooling your body down. That sensation, the sensation when you watch the sunset, or the feeling that you get when you're on the swing and you go high up, right? It's like there's one point and then there's that small sensation that's tickly and then you come down. That sensation, that's you, that's me. That's our bodies connected, saying, hey, we're alive, we're sensing everything. We have a story to tell. That magic, I want to be able to be with you here for. You've got to give more a chance. This weekend when I was teaching through my poetry, right? And part of explaining and kind of giving the format of my, how this poem came about was the conversation about, no, yes, I understand that we have sages. I understand that we have teachers. I understand that we have all of these things. I think they're beautiful. I think they are the ground that I am walking on. They are what I'm made of. All those things are so valuable to me. The Torah, I love it with my soul. I love it with my being. I love the words in that book. all of the crazy words, because there's so many crazy words in there. And I'm like, crazy words. What is this? Right? But I understand. I understand that this is home base. But I also understand that I have a responsibility to build my relationship with it, to build my relationship with spirituality, to build my relationship with love, to build my relationship with connection. I have the right as a being, as a human, to decide what I want the quality of those things to be. And because I get to decide, no one can keep me nor push me toward anything that is not aligned for me. You cannot tell me that I cannot rewrite a psalm. You cannot tell me that. It is the very relationship that I have with those little letters that float around with dimensions. It is my relationship, right? We're supposed to have our own sense, our own way of thinking about connection. It doesn't have to be my words. It doesn't have to be my belief system. But find a language, find something to explain the connectedness that you feel, the more that there is. In a baby being born, and holding the hand of your loved ones when they're moving from one space to another. The embrace, the sweetest of eyes that look at you with compassion and softness. It's all there. Find something for you to name that for yourself. And if you are a person who has, who has been drawn to the waters of the Torah, if you're someone who was born with an identity that quickly slapped on you the idea of a Torah and a people, and you've rejected it because you felt it was put on you, and old ways were put on you, and old thoughts were put on you, then by Goddess, find the one that speaks to you, that gives you life. But don't put the Torah in a box. Don't put the gods in the boxes. None of that serves us in any way, shape, or form. Because if it's contracting and limiting, which is different than boundaries and discernment, if it's contracting and limiting, it's not serving you. The passion that I have for quantum human design comes out of this shit right here, where I'm like, no. If it makes you come alive on the inside, if it excites you and brings your joy to 1,000, understanding what does that for you, when you find it, keep it. When you find it, hold on to it for dear life, because it is your relationship. Because you get to decide the quality of the things that now as an adult, it's your domain, your jurisdiction. But be discerning, ask the questions, be curious to understand what is it that you're trying to connect with. How do you understand yourself? How do you understand the world around you? In that, create a discipline from that, from really digging in for yourself, not just reacting because of what you've seen and not just reacting because of what you think you want, but a right relationship, one that is balanced, that allows for harmony. And I love harmony more than any other word to describe, homeostasis or synergy, things that are just moving in a rhythm that offers like growth and transformation, because harmony allows for different parts to come together. It's not homogeneous. It's not a plane. It's dimensional. It's just a marvel to watch a bunch of instruments, different type of instruments, come together to create notes, to create melodies in which our physical bodies respond to it. What is that? Right? It's like, what is that? But this harmony is us finding our place in the rhythm of life. Find your place in the rhythm of life. Don't just react, respond, because response means that your senses are actually engaged. You are present in the moment and not disconnected. We want more connection. The things that disconnect us from ourselves, from our environments, and from our loved ones, we want to be working on reducing that. We want to make sure that we're taking care of our own psyches as well. That you're monitoring how much time you're spending alone. How much are you hyper-isolating mentally? Or vice versa, you may need to examine how much you're going out and always needing to be plugged in. Right? Not because you have to learn to be alone, but because you want to be moving in life in a harmonious way. Otherwise, we're constantly banging against squares and edges, right? We're constantly at angles that are uncomfortable, that don't make sense because we've pursued things that either over-externalized or over-internalized, when the job is to be in dynamic relationship with that. It's alive. So when you find yourself, right, if you find yourself constantly running out, ask yourself the questions. Design a belief system for yourself. Belief, you're giving life to something. Believe, you're giving life to it. If the ones you have now are not working for you, toss them. Think about, what do you want to be believing? And here's the surprise. It's going to be the most asinine thing in the universe that sounds like every other thing that people say and you kind of gloss over, that it's going to, require you engaging in a practice, you engaging in affirmations and saying these sayings because subliminally you've been fed that other message your entire life. So you think that the medicine for the wound is going to be any different than the wound itself? No, it's the same way. You're going to retrain the same, right? Like you're going to do the same thing. You're going to have to feed it visually, taste, touch, smell, all of the senses, energetically as well, so that you can anchor into that, right? And so it's like, okay, this is what I have given life to, what I want to experience, what I want to have the quality of. I get to decide this. This is my power, and I'm going to use my power, and I'm going to be discerning, and I'm going to ask myself questions, and I'm going to take my own hand and walk it to the doorway. I am going to choose to believe that there's more than this, because when I stand on that, I feel regenerated, versus when I'm like, everything's going to shit, it's going to stay shit, and I'm not doing that ever again type of, right? Like, that energy is draining. It is much more energizing to say things like, all right, I'm having a moment, but it's on the up and up and good things are coming. All right, I'm having a moment. I'm in a learning lesson. Don't ask me why, but in my head, like the picture that I get is like Muhammad Ali, doing all that fancy footwork. Like we're like, all right, okay, because you don't have to be like entirely disconnected and being like, nah, everything is daisies and you're over here walking around with black eyes. Hello, right? Not that, but this like authentic realization and acknowledgement that the moments change, that each moment is new. Literally, each moment is new. Whatever we're perceiving as time, it doesn't matter, because we are circling around, like we're orbiting. Other planets are orbiting. There's some things happening. Now, how we made the 24 hours, 7 days, now that's our problem. We made some bullshit up. All right. So we're living by that. Having said that, what is the fabric of how you want to feel? What do you want? That feels much more expansive than thinking on the other stuff where it looks like nothing's ever going to work out and you have to, nearly, like give your soul away to have what you want. I don't know. That that doesn't sound as generative to me. So having said all of this, and having said some things in this episode that are also quite, personal to me, I think that I want to invite you. I want to invite you into a different fucking space. And you can't be waiting for all the stars to align for you to inhabit that flame and that spark inside of you. You don't need to do that. You become the stars. You become the rainbows. You become the clouds. You become the rain. You become the thunder. You become the thing, the very source of the thing you're connected to. You become it. And that can only attract like. Right? Like that can only attract like. So you can actually step into a place and be like, you know what? These are the things that have been, but I am connected. I am grateful. I've had hard moments, and I'm going to keep on moving on. Whatever the system is. For me, that looks immediately like, for me, when I often, and this is how I'll like seal the energy that builds up for me, because I'll sing ckery, right? It is a tree of life to those who, it is the tree of life for those who take hold of it, and those who support it are praiseworthy. Its ways are ways of pleasantness, and all its paths are peace, right? Lead us, Lord, back to you, and we shall come renew our days as of old, right? That prayer to me, and usually I'll switch the end out, because I don't want my days of old or anybody's old days. I want new days. I want a new inhabitation. I don't want my grandmother's inhabitation. May her memory be a blessing. I don't want my mother's. May her memory be a blessing. I don't want nobody else's anything. I don't want the old days. I want the connection that turns my soul alive every day and a new way moving forward. And when I sing that, to me, because the tree to me is so much of a connection. I have such a connection with trees. That speaks to me, because I'm like, the paths are peace. I call my soul back to me. I bring myself back home with that. This is why I'm teaching a class right now about Olamic incantations, right? The world we're trying to create, all of those beautiful things. If we're going to speak that, dream that into being, right? However you perceive that, right? Whether you're doing like tikkun olam, you're repairing the world, right? Or you're working on the one to come, whatever the things are, there's this idea that exists, that things, this pain that we live in must change, must shift, this rut we've fallen in as a humanity, right? This way of being. And so here where this change is supposed to come. But how is this change coming if we can't imagine anything outside of the days of old? How is a new thing coming if you can't remember anything outside the days of old? And so the class I'm teaching, while, I've touched on some references where, about incantations in the text and things like that, that's not my focus. Why is it not my focus? Well, one, I always say the same thing. We have an over dependence. It went from a curiosity to connect, to understand, to do different, to now being bound by a frame that doesn't contextually make sense, because as a people and as a species, we've grown out of the old ideas. Our brains have changed. So much has changed. And so because of these things, because generations change, then it is our duty, our responsibility to pave a different path, to speak a different thing into being, to do the work, to protect, to cultivate your creativity so that you can bring and birth forth into this time whatever it is that you came to do here, right? For some people, that may be being a doctor. For some people, it is the lawyer, the teacher, it is the herbalist, it is the farmer, it is whatever, right? There's a myriad of things that it is just to laugh. It is just to smile. It is just to give kindness to the world, right? It is then you have your people that have bitter medicine. You know who you are. Where every time you go somewhere, you always offering people some really cutthroat stuff. Now, nobody be inviting you. You invite yourself to them, and then you give your medicine. But there's a purpose, right? Everything and everyone. Your offering, though meager, if one would imagine to say such things, who measures that? How big, how small? That's our own imagination. Because the big thing here is that you give, you do, you be from your heart, and the frequency of your heart connects and reverberates with others, and that heals not just the physical planet, but it heals us and it heals the world. That's what I'm going for. That's what I want. That is my hope and my deep desire for all of us. It is my desire for the community I inhabit, because I got stuck in that place where I was like, oh, this, that, or the other, I'm here, there, or whatever. And the truth is that every single day I have an opportunity to connect, right? And I'm going to take them with such a joy and thanksgiving. And when there are things that are painful that may cause some sort of disconnection, I'm going to honor them, see them, and then I'm going to move on from them, because that doesn't stay the same. It doesn't stay the same, and it doesn't have to. And so I offer you this podcast. This is my offering to you, coming off of a delicious Jews of Color Shabbaton, where we had a good time, and the conversations were rich and the exchanges were rich. The love was so evident. And those moments, they were so nourishing and so beautiful to me. And it was so beautiful to be in that place where I'm like, this was delicious. This was dainu. It is enough for now. This is enough. This is enough right here. I'm sure there's more to come. More opportunities. More connection. More linking up energetically with people who I'm like, you were born from the same frequency. And the people that are not born from the same frequency as I am, I send them love probably from a distance, right? I'm like, okay, that's okay, because we got to keep it real. That's okay. Not my cup of tea, not my frequency, right? All right. It's okay, right? Moving on from that, just allowing love to move through, love in all its layers. Nothing is one-dimensional. Torah is not one-dimensional. Spiritual beliefs, they're not one-dimensional. Hashem is not one-dimensional. Elohim is not one-dimensional, right? Shekhinah, not one. It's just Atave is not. None of these things. None of them are one-dimensional. They are prisms and fractals of a larger thing that is all the worlds and all the things that we are. So, if you ever forget, come back and listen to this. That you're connected and you're not alone. And at the least, if you're listening to this, we're connected, so we're not alone. So thank you for listening. Thank you for showing up. And if you think that there's people that need to hear this, then you know what to do, because if we don't share it with each other, what are we doing? What is happening? Anyway, all right, this is with the warmest, like caramel and butter, like honey, like maple syrup, the warmest hug you can possibly imagine. That's full-hearted. I'm sending to you. And in deep devotion, this is Kohenet with Dismantling the Ckery podcast, where we are all about dismantling the fuckery, right? Getting to the core, the essence, the juice. So don't forget to like, to subscribe, to share. If you don't know what I'm up to in my offerings, go check out my offerings, because I got some coaching that'll set your life on fire, right? And if you haven't gone to Substack, what are you doing? Come become a paid subscriber. 1, that's like my people have my back type of thing. And then 2, because you want to get this juice. What is going on? You want some incantations. You want some poetry to set your shit free. Come on now. Because when we're liberated, when we are grounded, when we have grown and expanded, when we have done all the things, it is the beauty in you and the beauty in me that remains. So, blessings to you, and until next time, bye-bye. Bueno, mi gente, thank you for joining me on this wild and liberating journey of dismantling the fuckery. Remember, we are the architects of our own liberation. And if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with your people. Do all the things. You know what it takes for us to keep these frequencies rolling. Together, we will transform the world from a place of fuckery into a realm of unapologetic fabulosity. Stay fierce, my loves. Stay fabulous and keep dismantling. And if you want me or need me, yes, you heard me say that right, you know where to find me at priestessingliberation.com. Nos vemos ahorita. Adiós.